Okay, I think you can hear me now. So, okay, hello. Welcome to the 53rd episode of Ankith's Prep. We're gonna talk about factors of production. Okay, so basically, it's basically anything that's used to produce like goods and services or whatever, like stuff that firms need to make stuff. Like you need like capital, which is money. You also need like land, you need labor, like you need people working. So for that, we're only going to focus on this half of, we're going to focus on this half, okay? So for now, you can like you can forget about this part, okay? So the factor market, okay? So basically, when a business asks for labor, they're asking for workers. And who supplies the workers? The households do. You and me, we go and work in McDonald's. If we get anything less than a 1600 on our SAT, simple, okay? So that is uh like, households are the people uh who give businesses the factors of production. Then there's land. Like, obviously a firm needs land to the firm needs land to, like, set up their business or whatever, and they also need like capital, right? They need like some startup money. Uh, they need like startup money to like kind of like start like to kick off their business, like to invest in stuff. Okay, and all this are the factors of production. So like these two are the same thing. Okay, and what the business gives back to the households, they basically just give our wages. Okay, they give our salary for working. Like, okay, so you've been flipping burgers for 3 hours, $30 basically. Um, and on the other side, it's like the conventional, the households, uh, the businesses give the households their goods and services, and the households give, like, pay their money or whatever back. Okay, so just like normal goods, this like the oh my god, oh my god. Okay, so there's a supply and demand for labor. Okay, so like how in these kind of things. Okay, you got the normal graph that has been drilled into you all throughout year. So basically you have the okay, let me just like cut this down here. So basically you have you got the supply curve that slopes up. Okay, you got the supply curve that goes up, and you got the demand curve that goes down like this. Okay, this is basic. It's exactly like the basically exactly almost exactly like the normal market. Okay, so like imagine like this is like the uh this is like the market for apples. So like usually this is the firm, right? The apple firms. If the price is low, then there's going to be higher demand and less firms willing to sell. And like if it goes on, it's basically like that. Except in a labor market, it's the firms that are the buyers and the households that are the sellers. So this is this one like kind of represents the supply curve for workers, and this one is like the demand curve uh for like the companies wanting to hire. So like it's like this axis, it's still Q, but this is wages. Okay, so like if the wage is low, then not a lot of people want to work. Okay, they're probably people desperate for money. That's why they're probably just want to like work for less or whatever. Like they're okay with like getting like 5 cents an hour. Then there's then it goes up. More people want to work if the wages are higher. And for this one, obviously firms want to maximize profit, right? So like as the wages go lower, they just want more people earning less wages. And it also has an equilibrium right here. Okay, this is like the wage determination point. Wage determination point moment. Wage determination. Oh my god. Okay, so that yeah, and also basically uh these can also like shift left or right. So basically yeah, this can basically like shift left or right. So this shifts right obviously when there are like more workers. Uh, it's basically I can't really put it into words, but like you could probably like figure out like what would cause the supply curve for like people to shift right, to shift left, the demand curve to shift left, shift right, and yeah. Oh, there are also terms that I forgot to go over. So there are there is the okay, that is too small. Marginal product of labor, which is it's basically like the increase in like the amount of stuff that's being produced if you add one labor. So it's basically like so like if I have a graph right here or whatever, if I okay, so like if I add one person, they're if I add a worker, they're gonna produce like a number of goods. Okay, if I produce another person, if I add another person, they're gonna produce a bit more, right? And then but it slowly like kind of diminishes as you add more workers. Like it won't go down, but like the extra amount of output that's produced, it kind of decreases. So that is the diminishing product of labor. I think we did it in like a previous unit. So this is the diminishing product of labor. Okay, and yeah, okay. Then there's like the value. There's the a value of marginal product of labor, also like the VMPL. And yeah, that's basically the price. That's basically the price multiplied by the price multiplied by the marginal product of labor. Okay, so like let's just assume that the marginal product of labor right here is like 5 units. 5 units, and the price was like $3 from this. So 5 times 3 would be equal to 15. So that's like the value of marginal product of labor. Yeah, that's the extra revenue that a firm gets if they hire a person. Okay, so anyways, okay, this graph is like similar for similar for I mean, it's similar to the perfect competition, right? So like it also has like a firm graph. So like if I extend this out here, and if I just make another graph right here like this, okay? Okay, so right here like usually, let's just forget about the ATC for a second. But like usually, right here it's okay. Let me make this straight. Usually it's Mr. Darp. Okay, so that's the marginal revenue is equal to the demand curve, which is equal to the average revenue, which is equal to the price. Okay, but here there is no price, it's just wage. So like, let's just say you'd replace that with wage. And okay, we forgot about the ATC and the MC. It goes like that. So the MC is like that usually, and since the marginal revenue is like constant, it just like, you know, starts this is like the quantity of workers that they'll hire, and like the price is already, like the wage is already determined. Yeah, but however, in a labor market, so let me just like, okay, this is too long. So this is the firm, labor firm. The this this is not the MR, okay? Oh my god. Okay, this is actually the MC, the marginal cost. This is the MC. Okay, the MC, which is equal to the value of the marginal it's equal to the MPL, value of marginal product of labor, which is same as the wage. So this is what that line is, and the MC is actually downward sloping like this. I mean, sorry, the MR, it's downward sloping like this. So this is the so this is the point. Okay, it's same. So it's like same as the perfect competition graph, except the MR and the MC are swapped, and the sloping line is like, you know, kind of switched around. So this is like the quantity that they make. Okay, so what if I tell you there's also like a monopoly graph kind of thing with this, right? Except in a monopoly, there's one seller and a lot of buyers. Okay, this kind of, now in a labor market, it is a monopsony. Okay, except the difference is that in a monopsony, there's one buyer and a lot of sellers. And since the firms are the buyers and like the households are the sellers, okay? So there are a lot of examples like this. So there's like a town's coal mine. Like if there's like a town in, like, you know, the Upper Peninsula or Jharkhand or whatever, there's gonna be like one mining company that's gonna like hire like everybody there, everybody who lives there. Yeah, so basically they're the only like business in town, and NFL too, because like, you know, they provide, like when the NFL season thing is going on, they like employ a lot of people, like, you know, to run the stands, to like, you know, what like whatever. Um, so okay, so let's just review. So usually in a monopoly, uh, the demand curve is like this. The demand curve, okay, there's a demand curve that goes like this. Then there's a marginal revenue that that goes down like this. There's a marginal revenue that goes down like this, and then there's the MC, which acts like a supply curve, because it's the only because the firm is the only thing. So like it's its own supply curve. So this is a supply curve. The amount that they produce is MR is equal to MC. Oh my god. MR is equal to MC, but the price, they extend it all the way up to the demand curve like that. Okay, so this is the price which they start making it. Okay, a monopsony is flipped. So let me just clear everything out. So in a monopsony, here's the wage, and here's the price. Okay. Now, over here. So, so now the MC. So now the MC is still like upward sloping like this. Okay, the MC. Then, okay, this is confusing if I put it in the code because there's a supply curve. Okay, okay, let me just use this one. Okay, the MC. This is the MC. This is the MC. Okay, then the supply curve is right below that. It's like right over here. Supply curve. Okay, so it's like the demand curve and the MR, but like instead of the MR, it's the MC and it's upward sloping, and then the supply instead of the demand, and the MR. Then the MR is right over here. Okay, MR, which acts like a demand curve, because the firms are the only one that are demanding, which is equal to the VMPL. Okay, so it's still the point, the amount of workers that the amount of workers that okay, this is not right. So the amount of workers that they have, the amount of workers that they hire, it's still MR is equal to MC. So so this is like the quantity, but since they can like since they can pay as low as they can, they pay right where it hits the supply curve. So right here, that is the wage point. Okay, so it's the exact opposite of a monopoly. So in a monopoly, it's MR is equal to MC, but they price their goods as high as they can until they reach the demand curve. Here, the wage point, it's MR is equal to MC, but they can pay their workers as low as they can. So like they bring it all the way down to the supply curve. And obviously, it creates my favorite thing right here, which is called a deadweight loss. Let's go, deadweight loss. Right here. Okay. Yeah. And here's a scenario, okay? The Bubonic Plague. The Bubonic Plague, obviously, it has its own pros and cons. Okay. Pros. The pros are it brought wages higher. Wages went higher. I failed the SAT reading section. Wages, okay, wage higher. I don't care. Wage higher, and the rent went down. And the cons are a couple of people died. Okay, so what do I mean by this? Okay, so let me just erase this off. So let's just say this is the supply and demand curve for labor. Supply and demand curve for labor. And you make the same thing for land. Okay, land is it's like it's pretty much the same thing, because it's also like a factor of production that a household gives and a firm receives. So here's the one for labor. So let's just assume that for labor, this is the supply curve, and this is the demand curve. So this is like the normal equilibrium point. I'm not going to screw this up. This is the whatever. Over here you got the wage and the quantity. So basically, since people died, the supply curve went left because the amount of people reduced. So since it went left, This is the new equilibrium. The new equilibrium. So the amount of quantity, I mean, obviously the quantity of people decreased, but the wages increased for the people that survived. So if you didn't die, it was good on you. So it just went like that. For land, okay, so okay, remember guys, elasticity. The supply curve isn't like really elastic because there's only like a limited amount of land, and then like it's kind of hard to make more land. So here's the supply and the demand. It went like this. And since the demand, okay, then here's rent and Q quantity. Okay, so since so this is the equilibrium right here. Since the demand for land went down because a couple of people died, the demand curve kind of shifted left, and this is like the new equilibrium. I mean, I don't think like back in the day, I think like you couldn't even make artificial land, so I think this would be like perfectly straight. So yeah, it just like kind of went down. So yeah, the rent definitely it went down for the people who survived because there's you know, less people that want to have land. And yeah, that is it for today. So please subscribe. Please don't fail the e-contest, and please pay attention in class. Thank you. Bye bye.